see the letter from the landlord?
Yeah.
If we don't give notice by the 1st, we have to pay next month's rent. I don't know about you, but I don't intend to be studying for the bar in this sweatbox.
You know what this is? First assignment I ever did for Kingsfield. I can't believe I wrote it. Choice of words, where I put the ideas together, I'm a completely different person.
Well, would one of you be willing to give me an answer so I can let the landlord know what's going on?
I haven't decided yet. Look at this. From our original study group. You, me, Bell, Anderson.
Is this some kind of James Hart retrospective?
I was looking for a con law paper I wrote last year. I need the bibliography. I haven't looked at this stuff in so long.
I'll tell you what. You deal with the landlord when you've decided what you're doing with your life.
You know, Ford, it's a pretty important decision.
I'm aware of that.
Well, if I take the federal clerkship, I could be working under one of the top constitutional judges in the country, provide incredible insight into the judicial system, and I'd be developing new areas of the law.
On the other hand,
if I joined the private firm, I'd be doing what I wanted to be doing for the last 3 years. Have great trial lawyers, interesting cases.
more money.
Right, but how much does a first-year lawyer actually get to do? But why put it off? I just don't have that gut feeling. You know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm sorry I'm late. I was on the phone with my oldest daughter trying to convince her not to have an affair. She's married.
Okay, you all know each other. We've got 2 weeks until finals begin.
13 days.
And more material to cover than any one of us can possibly handle alone. As a group, there's a way we can share that load and help each other out.
Yeah, fine. Let's get to the ground rules.
Basically, all outlines, notes, and other study materials are the exclusive property of this group. No information will be shared with anyone outside this group. Agreed?
Look, it's very simple. The reason we're in here and they're out there is because we're good. Royce, Becker, Ford. Samuels, I don't know about you, but I'll take Ford's word for it. Look, we're all probably going to pass anyway. That's not the point. The point is we're going to kick ass. We're going to get the best grades in our class. We're going to make law review. We're going to be running the show by our 3rd year. This group right here is your ticket to whatever you do with your life. So don't blow it, huh? Let's get to work. I'll take property.
Contracts.
Civil procedure.
Torts.
Criminal law.
And get Baker to check the precedents. Zeiss!
Yo.
Understand we have a problem with the Hofstadter article?
No, you have a problem. I have a bar refresher course tonight.
Zeiss, I'll just have to start without you.
I did my work. Now,
No, this is more important. Your name goes on here. This is your reputation, Zeiss.
good point.
Right. Stotts! What? Look, I appreciate the fact that you're getting married the day after we graduate.
No, I'm not. It's over. Grace and I had a big blow-up last night. See, I want country music at our reception. She says she's not a hillbilly. I love country music, so screw you.
Look, you two will patch it up. You were meant for each other.
You think so?
Trust me. Now, I need a rewrite on this malpractice article by 6. Then proof the Fisher note one more time, and then let Grace pick the music. Just a second, Peter. Just a second.
The site check is on your desk.
That's good. Now you can get started on the legal precedents for the Lippman case. Should have been done yesterday.
I gotta get outside, Hart. I mean, it's 75 degrees.
If you want to go outside, you shouldn't be a lawyer. You should be a forest ranger. Come on, back to work.
Laura, we are not signing. The rent is too high, the deposits are illegal, and if we break the lease, we probably end up in jail.
It's so close to campus. It's a really good neighborhood. I could set up my easel in that alcove. That light is really great.
Oh, who cares about the light? We never get to see it. Look, this is 3rd year, kiddo. Classes all day, library all night.
Look, we've got to give him an answer pretty soon.
Woo! Girls, I just met with my study group, and I want to tell you, you kids take these finals very seriously.
Oh, you ain't seen nothing yet.
One more for the collection.
Oh, Belle!
Dear Mr. Bell, unfortunately, at the present time, our firm is not hiring any new personnel. Although we wish you luck in your search for employment. Thanks a lot, fellas.
How many does that make?
Is it 27 or 28?
Well, something will come through for you, Belle.
Let's face it, ladies. Things like this do not come through for guys like me. Things like this come through for guys like Hart. Everybody wants him. Or Ford. If I had that guy's connections, I'd already be out picking out a retirement village. Maybe I ought to move into their place when they leave, huh? Pick up some of those positive vibrations.
We still love you, Belle.
Too late for that.
What did I tell you? Right now, Labs, Hart and Ford's apartment.
Oh, boy, my lucky day. Well, at least a special delivery, a little respect for the deceased.
It's perfect.
Isn't it a little dingy?
We can fix it up. We can put up new curtains. We can even paint it. I'll call and ask.
That sounds an awful lot like Belle.
You don't think he did something foolish, do you?
They want me, 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 they want me.
What are you saying?
My grandchild!
We are pleased to offer you a position with the firm of Benson, Baker, and Hodges in Chicago.
Chicago! Wrigley Field! The Loop! My kind of town! Chicago! Oh, thank you! I am saved! I am saved! Thank you!
Yes, I am familiar with Professor Ewart's work. She's an excellent scholar with an effective classroom manner. She could be a valuable addition to our faculty.
I agree with you. Now, as you know, Professor Lavender's retiring this year, and that leaves an opening in the faculty for the Thompson Endowment for Constitutional Law. Now, my committee has gone through several candidates, and there's been considerable disagreement as to the intent of the endowment.
I was a clerk for Judge Thompson. At that time, he was the youngest judge ever to sit on a federal court bench. That man had a passionate commitment to the Constitution. The endowment was intended to carry on that spirit of innovation.
Very well, then. I'll take our recommendations back to the committee. And we should have a full slate of candidates to present before the faculty at the next meeting. Well, I have a class to give.
And I have a luncheon to attend. Oh, Margaret, I've been meaning to bring to your attention a conference on Title VII, a retrospective on women's civil rights to be held at the University of Maine in July.
I was unaware of it, but it's certainly a subject that interests me. I'll look into it, thank you.
Are you familiar with the coastline of Maine?
I was there once many years ago.
I received great sustenance from its ruggedness and majesty.
I wasn't aware that you were such an outdoorsman.
I rarely have time for it now. You might find it quite refreshing.
Charles, is this an invitation?
It occurred to me that were you to attend this conference, we might coordinate our schedules.
Maybe even drive up in the car together?
Perhaps.
I'll check my calendar.
Oh, Professor, you have a lunch engagement at the faculty club with Judge Strong.
Thank you, Mrs. Nottingham.
Oh, and Mr.
Sir,
Hart
I
wishes an
need to
appointment.
speak to you as
I
soon as
told him you were
possible.
busy.
There's been an oversight on one of the law review articles. It's about the Hofstadter decision. We've discovered that Hofstadter has been overturned by the Federal Appeals Court. Now, that decision directly contradicts the Supreme Court's decision on Maynard versus South Carolina. Now, it's inconceivable to me that it'll be upheld. At the same time, our issue goes to the printer next week. Now, one approach might be...
Gentlemen, I'm sure between the two of you, a proper solution can be found. Good afternoon.
As I was saying, sir, one approach might be to ignore the appeals court altogether.
Is there anything else, Mr. Hart?
Well, yes, sir, actually, there is this other more personal matter, and I'd love to ask your opinion. As you know, I'm in the process of choosing between an offer to join a private firm and an offer to clerk for a great judge on the Second Circuit. And I'm having a very difficult time deciding which would be best for me.
Mr. Hart, For the past 3 years, your existence has been cradled within the curriculum of this institution. Each challenge you faced has been carefully provided for you by the faculty with the express purpose of fostering your understanding of the law. Within this structure, you functioned as the student and I as the teacher. It is both pointless and inappropriate to cling to an identity that is no longer valid. Questions you will soon be facing will be those of your own design, eliciting answers that only you can provide. It's for you and you alone to choose the path that you will follow. Good day, Mr. Harvard.
The plaintiff contended that the civil ordinance protected his right to use the road as a throughway. However, the court ruled that no access rights existed because the road crosses federal land.
What did the court cite as precedent for its decision?
I don't have that information.
What do you mean you don't have that information?
Well, I thought it was enough just to cover the facts of the case and the decision.
Thought it was enough. What kind of wimp babble is that?
All right, I'll get the information. You might try finding a nice way of asking me next time.
Nice. Is that how you raised your children? Screw nice.
All right, Halleck, just stick to the material.
The precedent of the decision was Glover versus Manchester Chemical, 1956. Do your own work next time.
So this is how we study for finals?
Whoa, what have we here?
What, this? Just a little something I picked up for work.
It's a little radical for Benson, Baker, and Hodges, don't you think?
Like the song goes, baby, I gotta be me.
Yeah.
You're so brilliant, you don't have to study for finals?
I was just taking a break.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to get these shadows before they go away. What do you think?
I don't really know much about art.
Doesn't matter.
I want to tell you something, Laura. The trouble with you kids is, you look at us third-year students and you see us getting all the prizes, the jobs, the big bucks, cars, the condos. But what you forget about is all the hard work this guy went through to get where he is today.
I'm not forgetting anything. It's just that when I drag myself to a desk, something in my mind just says, enough of this, I've had it.
Well, it's late in the year, you're tired, but you got all summer to kick back and doodle all you want.
This isn't doodling.
You're not getting back into any of that stuff, are you?
What, you mean pills?
Whatever.
No way. This time I do without, or I just don't do.
Good.
You just have to let that roll off your back.
Why does he have to be so unpleasant?
Oh, who knows? Maybe his parents taught him that wisdom comes through suffering.
Well, let him suffer. Just leave me alone.
Ford? Hi. You remember when I was in the hospital with pneumonia? I missed 2 weeks of class.
Sure.
Yeah, well, I need to get those notes that I missed.
Sorry, I can't help you. I made this agreement with my study group.
Are you serious? Well, what about you, Samuels?
I'm in the same study group.
Right. Well, thanks a lot. Yeah, I hope you guys never get sick. You gotta weed out those weaklings, right? Yeah, survival of the fittest. Darwin would have loved you guys. So would Mussolini!
I'll tell you something. I had a dream last night. I was sitting up there in my new office, up there on the 37th floor, looking out over Lake Michigan, watching the clouds roll by. And I thought to myself, you know, I kind of miss the old dorm. Dark, dingy hallways, constant interruptions, no privacy in the shower. But people sticking together no matter what. Burn into those books.
So it's true. I've been told that you could be found here almost any time during the day or the night.
Yes, I get a lot more accomplished after everyone else is gone.
I'm the same way.
Oh, have a seat.
Thank you. It's a matter I'd like to discuss with you. I'm the current chairperson of the Committee for Faculty Hiring. Right now, we're seeking a candidate for the Thompson Endowment for Constitutional Law. It's a unique position, one that's offered only once every 7 years. Have you given any thought to teaching law?
Me?
Yes, you. I have a feeling that you could make a considerable contribution to our students.
I don't know what to... I mean, I had thought, I thought that I thought that at some point, but I don't seem to be able to finish a sentence.
Well, I'm sure you'll need some time to think about it. I'd imagine you'd made some other plans regarding future employment.
Yes, I mean, I've been offered a federal court clerkship and a position with a private firm, but I haven't decided yet.
Oh, then I'm just in time. No, this is not to say that, should you be interested, that the job is automatically yours. Each recommendation has to be approved of by the entire faculty. And there are powerful voices that resist considerable changes. I'm sure I don't have to mention any names. There may be a fight. But I'm sure that with the support of the nominating committee, that your chances for approval will be good. So why don't you think it over? Let me know your decision in a few days. Goodbye.
Bye.
No. What counts when you're in litigation are not all those laws you've been stuffing your head with. It is the facts of the case. Now, wouldn't you agree, Golden?
Well, let's put it this way. I have yet to call upon the knowledge I accumulated in my Law of the Sea seminar.
Man, I can't wait to get my hands on my first case.
Take a seat. This is Pete Brody, junior partner of my father's firm. James Hart, Law Review president.
So, what kind of bonuses do law firms give for unusual brilliance?
That depends on the firm.
In mine, they let you work on Sunday.
Look, it's
What's up?
broken field running. It's just
I'm working down in Law Review, and Tyler shows up.
Professor Tyler.
Sarah, can we get another pitcher of beer over here?
Asks me if I'm interested in a faculty position.
Nothing else.
What? Wait. What's all the whispering about?
I've been approached about the Thompson Endowment for Constitutional Studies.
Holy shit, that comes up every 10 years.
I think it's every 7.
They've never hired anyone straight out of law school.
Why would you want to stick around this place?
Are you kidding? You have the perfect bully pulpit right here. Anytime you have something to say, you call up the New York Times.
Well, on the other hand, a faculty position would take you out of circulation for a while. I mean, it's worth considering.
I thought you couldn't wait to get out into the world. Let the world come to you. I mean, if it was anybody else to say it's a bad idea. But for you, Hart, it's perfect. You get to do research, talk legal theory.
Have lunch at the faculty club.
I can see it all now. The next Kingsfield. Beware of Professor Hart.
Mr. Hart, you recite the facts of the case of Hawkins versus McGee. I do have your name right. You are Mr. Hart.
Yes, my name is Hart.
Mr. Hart, you're not speaking loud enough. You speak up.
Yes, my name is Hart.
Loud. Fill the classroom with your intelligence.
Professor Tyler? Professor Tyler?
Good morning.
Morning. I thought it over, and if you still want me, I'm definitely interested in the position.
Oh, good. I'm delighted. Now we have some work ahead of us.
What are you talking about?
What I'm talking about is the fact that you were in my room without permission trying to steal my notes.
You are out of your mind. I was just borrowing a towel.
Yeah, I always keep my towels in my desk drawer.
Look, I wasn't anywhere near your desk. Halleck, don't get so paranoid.
I'm not being paranoid, Riddell. Everyone knows how desperate you are. You'll do anything. Lie, cheat, steal to get through finals.
Yeah, and what about the rest of you? You know, I have never seen such a collection of cold-hearted bastards in my life. Just keep your goddamn towel.
See you anywhere near my room, I'm going to the dean.
Hello. Yeah, just a second.
Bell, you in there?
I'm asleep.
You got a phone call.
Tell him I'll call back.
It's Howard Benson.
Who's Howard Benson? Only the senior partner in Benson, Baker, and Hodges, the third largest probate law firm in the country. The boss! Willis Bell here. Yes. Good to hear your voice, Mr. Benson. Yes, I am. Looking forward to it. Oh, you have? You did? Well, yeah, that must have come as quite a shock to you, yes. Well, oh, no, sure, I understand. Well, thank you for letting me know. I appreciate it. Goodbye.
What happened?
Firm split. Baker and Hodges decided they didn't want to practice law anymore with Benson. After 23 years. So everybody's reorganizing. As Howard Benson put it, tightening the ranks until the dust settles.
What about your job?
Gone.
Oh, Bill, I'm so sorry.
Gone. Can you believe it? Just like that.
What are you doing? Thinking about Bill.
Don't you think you'd better be getting to work?
Yeah. It just all seems so fickle. One minute you've got a future, the next minute you don't.
Well, it doesn't seem fickle to me at all. It's totally systematic. You work hard, you get good grades, people hire you.
And you work your ass off for a big law firm, and They throw you a few bones if you do a good job. You get a couple weeks vacation, maybe someday buy a nice house.
So what's wrong with that? You're practicing law. You're doing what you love. That's more than most people get to do.
Maybe I just don't love this the way you do.
Maybe you ought to worry about this some other time. We have 5 finals in the next 10 days.
Do you think I'll make a good lawyer, Val?
Laura, you're gonna be a great lawyer. Now, what do you have in your notes on Graham versus McCormick?
Graham versus... Oh, yeah. That's that oil baron that tried to squeeze out the sheep farmer in Texas.
Yeah.
I think you both know Mr. Hart.
Yes, we do. We do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think that some of the students' grievances are legitimate.
So, what would you do?
Well, to begin with, I would institute more tutorials. I think that there's a tendency among the students to cluster apart from the faculty. They're afraid to bring their doubts and questions because they don't want to seem stupid. Now, I'm not saying that we need to hold their hands while they're studying, but I think that there is potential for an exchange of ideas that would benefit both parties.
But do you feel your age might get in the way of your authority as a faculty member?
I think there are 2 ways to look at my age, both positive.
Come in. Oh, Charles, I was just pouring some tea. Would you care to join me?
I've always felt that my timing was immaculate.
I'm
Yes.
so glad you stopped by. There's some matters we need to discuss. Milk and sugar?
Just a little milk, please.
I was looking over that brochure.
I noticed that among your luncheon companions today was one of our students, James Hart.
Yes?
A somewhat unusual practice, inviting a student to lunch at the faculty club.
It's a most unusual circumstance.
So I've gathered. I've received several calls this afternoon, sparked by speculation that your committee intends to nominate this student for the Thompson Endowment.
Well, he won't be a student in 2 weeks. And yes, he does appear to have the support of the faculty.
I do my best to refrain from meddling in affairs that do not oblige my attention. But I must tell you in all candor that this proposed nomination would be a grievous mistake. And I encourage you to reconsider your choice before the matter comes before the entire faculty.
I can assure you the committee takes very seriously its responsibility to select the most qualified candidate for every position. In my personal opinion, Mr. Hart possesses an unusual grasp of the substance and complexity of the law for someone his age.
I would not disagree with that assessment. However, there are other considerations. In particular, the fact that he brings no experience whatsoever to the job.
Oh, I'd have to disagree with that. His performance as president of the Law Review shows a competence easily on a par with other publications in the field.
His role as Law Review president is that of student, acting under the advisement of a faculty supervisor.
Which happens to be you.
Correct.
Well, are you now taking credit for the quality of the publication?
The point I am making is that Mr. Hart has no resources on which to draw as a teacher.
The point you were making is that you want to stop this nomination in any way you can. And frankly, I'm surprised that you don't consider this kind of backroom arm twisting beneath you. If you have objections to the nomination, I urge you to state them out in the open, just like any other member of the faculty.
Very well. Then I shall pursue the matter at a later date. Thank you for the tea.
And thank you for sharing the brochure with me. Unfortunately, due to prior commitments, I shall be unable to attend.
Here it is. Our last issue. Boy, some of the latest nights, toughest times, and some of the most bitter arguments I've ever had. Right here in this room. And I wouldn't have missed a minute of it. I have been proud of every issue we put out. And truly, this is our best. Ooh, that was right. I want to thank you, all of you, for your dedication and commitment. Well, would any of you like to have one of these?
So, how do you like retirement?
Oh, I'm getting used to it.
Oh, I'm sure you'll find something to keep you busy.
Yeah. It just won't be the same without you to remind me of my shortcomings.
Well, I'll tell you what, Hart. If your self-esteem rises above moderate, you can give me a call.
All the petition does is express student support for Hart's nomination. You've signed it.
Oh, yeah, I have.
I don't really know the guy. Well, I do. He'd make a great teacher. He's brilliant. He cares. He understands what we're all going through.
Okay, we have some business to take care of before we get down to work. What I have here is a copy of some of Ford's contracts notes. I found them in a most interesting place. Would you like to tell them where, Ford? In Riddell's notebook. That's right. He's been giving his notes to someone outside the group, violating the agreement we made right here that no one would share their notes with anyone outside the group. I demand that Ford return my property outline, all other materials he's been given, and after that, you are out of the group.
What?
It's true. I gave him some notes for some classes he missed because he was sick.
Doesn't matter. We made an agreement.
You're right. I apologize. I'll go.
Wait a second. This study group was Ford's idea. This is madness. You can't ask him to leave.
You don't like it, Samuels, you can go too. And see how far you get on your own.
It was my decision. It has nothing to do with you.
I gather no one else is leaving. Property. State of Nevada versus Jupiter Mining Company.
Belle, it's me. Can I come in?
It's open.
Brought you a sandwich. I thought you might be hungry. Pastrami on a Kaiser. Heavy mustard.
That's nice. You can put it over there.
You mind if I open a window? It's really stuffy in here.
Look, Laura, I really appreciate the sandwich, but right now I'd rather be alone, okay?
You've been alone for 3 days. You don't eat, you don't study, you don't even go out of your room anymore.
Why should I? Everybody can laugh at me. Great job you got there, Bill.
Nobody's laughing at you, Bill.
Yeah.
It's not your fault that the firm fell through. Something else will come along.
You know, for 3 years I've been telling myself, hang in there, you're gonna make it. You're gonna be a lawyer. So here I am, I made it. Nobody cares.
You've got to make them care. You've got to get out there and show them who you are.
I don't know. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe I'm not supposed to be a lawyer. I wish somebody told me that 3 years ago.
Of course you're going to be a lawyer.
How can you be so sure, Laura? You think everybody in this law school was meant to be a lawyer? And I don't. Oh, some of them, yeah, sure. You know who they are. You know, I think a lot of people, they just didn't know what to do with themselves, you know? So I went to law school for 3 years, hoping maybe something would take. What if it doesn't, you know? You still got your whole life ahead of you. So then what? Huh? Thanks for the sandwich.
Ford, would you get that?
Yes? Oh, yes, Harriman. Yeah, I was just going over the terms. There is no way I can make a loan like that. Well, you know that would violate the interstate banking agreement. Well, I suppose you'll just have to go under. Unless you're willing to discuss merging with a more secure institution. Business law project. Oh, sure, bring it over. Yeah. What? You're kidding. I'll tell him. Bye. Harriman says you're a finalist for commencement speaker.
Yeah?
Did you hear what I said?
Finalist for commencement speaker.
Well, aren't you thrilled?
Sure.
What is all this, anyway?
I am trying to trace a writ of habeas corpus from the Constitution to the Civil War.
Smells like Kingsfield.
Yeah, well, all he asked for was a presentation on Lincoln's suspension of the writ, but I thought I'd put it in its historical context.
James, does it occur to you that nothing you do may convince that man you deserve the faculty position?
That's not why I'm doing it. It's his last assignment. I just want it to be right.
Oh, Laura and Vivian may be coming by to look at the apartment.
Tonight? Ford, I haven't decided
Well,
yet
they're
whether or
only
not...
looking, James.
Listen, Frank, I'm sorry to bother you. I just got thrown out of my study group. The library is mobbed. Could I camp out here for a while?
Let me consult with my roommate. Make yourself at home in the living room.
Thanks a lot. I really appreciate this. This light doesn't work.
Yeah, the bulb's burned out. See if I've got another.
Oh, that's okay.
Yoo-hoo! Anybody home?
Doors open. Good evening, ladies.
Hi. I hope we're not intruding.
Oh, not at all.
Hart is just rewriting the Magna Carta, and my brother is seeking refuge from the dorm.
Oh, it always feels so homey when I step into this place.
Come, let me show you the West Wing.
Oh, God. So, come on. What do you think? Oh, look at all this closet space.
It's a nice room.
Oh, we could put up new curtains. Maybe mauve?
Come in. Everybody else does.
Hi. Where's Ford?
Ford, Harriman's here.
Harriman, I see you're ready to negotiate.
Hi, how are you?
Hey, Hart, have you got a pencil sharpener around here anywhere?
On my desk.
Well, since we're all here, clearly this calls for something special. I've been saving this since the first year.
The first year? Must be vinegar by now.
Are you expecting anyone else?
Hart, got a couple minutes?
Sure, come on in.
I gotta talk to somebody. I've been really down lately.
Bill! Perfect timing.
Hey, Bill.
I can't stay. Now, Willis. I've been worried about you.
Terrible.
Hey, Val.
All right.
You look good.
I feel terrible. Have you ever noticed how whenever everyone has a problem, they always come to our apartment?
Take that as a compliment.
So, not only did he fall off his bicycle and break his arm, he sued the city.
Belle, we all understand that you have a very difficult time riding your bicycle and doing anything else at the same time.
Except break his arm.
That story is legend around here. Especially your witness, Bell.
Kingsfield was the only one who saw it, and he showed up in court.
He had to. You subpoenaed him.
I'll never forget the sheer terror of putting Kingsfield on the witness stand and questioning him.
Professor Kingsfield, you saw my accident, didn't you? Yes. Anything else? I saw the bicycle hit a hole in the street.
Sheer terror. I remember it well. The one time I took 5 minutes of mindless recreation in 3 years.
Hey, put those hips into it.
My hips are into it. It isn't.
Wait a minute, Iris. We have to turn around. Just a second.
No, you're fine.
Iris, we've got to turn around. Good afternoon, Professor.
And they want you for a faculty position?
Oh, we should put Bell up for professorship. He needs a job.
Very funny.
You know, James, you bring these things on yourself. I mean, you're the guy who felt compelled to march into Kingsfield's contracts class carrying this blazing birthday cake.
It was his 80th birthday. I know this is out of the ordinary, Professor Kingsfield. I realize you don't like your class to be disturbed. But we all know that this is your 80th birthday. And you can tell me to take this cake right out that door, and I'll do it. But first, I'd just like to say something. Happy birthday.
Mr. Hart, you have introduced a fire hazard into my classroom.
I wish I had $1 for every time I thought Kingsfield was going to throw me out of school. I wouldn't even need a job.
The scariest thing I've ever seen in my life is two Kingsfields face to face.
Well, you made me do it. You swore he was going to be out of town.
Pardon me, is this where I check in?
Yes. Name?
You don't know who I am?
Do you know how many thousands of people pass through here every day, buddy? Just do me a favor. Give me a break. Tell me your name.
Kingsfield Charles W.
Oh, when I turned around and saw that guy standing there, I thought to myself, this is it. I mean, this isn't just expulsion. This is a death penalty. Minimum.
You realize everything we're talking about here has to do with Kingsfield?
So what's new? We've been talking about him for the past 3 years.
And we'll be talking about it for the next 50.
Come on, admit it. I mean, we're all obsessed with him.
True. But you're the only man who's had the rare privilege of playing Scrabble with the master.
Yeah.
Hart, was it a close game?
Are you kidding? He creamed me.
Triple letter, 24, 28, 30, double word, 60 points.
Vavasor? I have never heard of Vavasor.
If you'd studied Middle English, you would know the
Oh,
word.
Middle English. Is that valid?
Would you care to look it up in the dictionary?
No, I'm sure it's there.
Vavasor, Vavasor alternate, medieval term for tenant, slightly below a baron, and worth 60 points.
Vavasor, huh? Okay. Freebie.
Freebie is not a word.
Ah, it is a
Freebie
word.
is a slang expression.
It is used. It may be slang, but it
can't
is now
look it
a
up in
word.
the
Oh, are you going
dictionary?
to make me look up a word for a lousy
If you
13
insist
points?
on using that word, yes.
Remember the very first time Kingsfield ever called on you?
Oh, that, my dear, is permanently etched in my brain.
That voice calls out your name, reverberating to the ceiling. You stand up.
Your spine disintegrates. Your mouth goes dry.
And that's the best of it.
I remember the first time he called on me, I'd raised my hand because I thought I knew the answer. Oh, foolish you.
Well, I don't mean to try to top you all, but the worst, and believe me, I have been through it all. And the worst by far is getting to the end, having no place to go, and nobody wants you.
Come on, Belle.
Come on, Belle. Come on.
Law student Willis Bell, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Oh, I do, Your Honor. You know I do. 3 years long, I've been working so hard. Trying to get my own business card. I got so strung out, kicked down, run around law school blues. Woo! I've been here way too long, and I paid my dues.
Excellent.
Excellent is right.
The writ of habeas corpus came under extreme scrutiny during the Civil War, when President Lincoln was accused of seizing congressional powers and violating the Constitution by himself suspending the writ and imprisoning those whom he felt were working against the Union itself. Now, clearly, the president does not have the right to imprison those with whom he disagrees. However, in a state of emergency, whether the executive branch has the power to act in order to protect the Union itself is the argument that Lincoln used, argument which was later upheld by the Supreme Court in its decision of 1865. Any questions?
You have laid the facts clearly before us, Mr. Hart. Thank you.
I think Lincoln's decision raised some interesting implications about executive intrusion into congressional power.
Yes, it does.
Was there any particular aspect of the issue that I didn't explain?
Not that I'm aware of.
Did you feel that the historical background detracted?
Mr. Hart, class is over.
Yes, sir, I'm aware of that. I'm aware of that. I am really looking forward to my interview with the faculty for the Thompson Endowment. I mean, it is such an honor to even be considered for the position. I would imagine that you might have some reservations about someone of my age joining the faculty.
Your age has nothing to do with my position in this matter.
Then you have a position?
Yes, Mr. Hart.
And you'll oppose my nomination?
That is correct.
You told me that it was up to me now to start making my own decisions about my life, and the minute I choose a path I want to follow, you're right there blocking my way?
Mine is only one vote.
But your vote has influence. And more than anyone, I would expect that you would appreciate this desire I have to want to give back some of what's been given to me.
I'm confident you will find other means of expressing your gratitude.
But this is what I want. I'm going to try for this endowment with or without your support.
The decision was upheld by the State Appeals Court and overturned by the Supreme Court in 57 by a vote of 6-3. Now, in Baylor versus Maryland...
Wait a minute. What was the minority opinion?
I didn't have time to go over every decision.
What do you mean? So you decide which decisions are worth knowing about? I said I wanted a complete summary of the precedent.
I'll get it for you soon.
Gee, would you thanks? The final's in 2 days. At least you can't do any damage to us on the curve.
What do you mean?
In case you didn't know, Becker, you're in big trouble.
You know, that's enough.
Oh, look who's talking now, the queen of niceness.
You don't get anywhere by talking to people like that, Halleck.
Are you telling me what's good? After what I've been carrying your carcass around for the past 2 weeks? If by some miracle you don't flunk out, Samuels, you owe me.
Look, we don't have time for this.
You know, that's very interesting, Halleck. 2 weeks ago, you were telling us all how we're going to pass. Now, if we're lucky enough to pass, it's thanks to you. What's the matter? You're a little insecure? You're running a little scared?
I don't have time for this.
I'm not finished, Halleck. I've put up with your abuse, with your intimidation, with your fear tactics for 2 weeks. And I kept my mouth shut. Why? Because I was so insecure about... Would you look at me when I talk to you? I was so insecure about my ability to get through these finals that I trusted you more than I trusted myself.
If you don't like it, get out. You make a better housewife anyway.
Why is it, Halleck, that you only feel good when you make other people feel terrible, huh? You know, this law school is tough enough, but I intend to stay here without abandoning my values. I respect people, Halleck, and I expect them to respect me. And if I fail, I'm gonna fail because I failed on my own terms.
Stay away from generalities. Wherever the discussion goes, use specific examples, decisions to back them up. It's not only your presentation, but your potential as a legal scholar that they'll be looking for. And don't try to show them how smart you are. It's not about coming up with the right answers this time. It's about you coming up with the correct questions. Example, if someone brings up the Christian burial case.
I'll just treat it as bad facts making bad law.
That's a good premise. So, how do you feel?
I'll be glad when it's over with.
Don't worry, you're gonna do fine.
Well, here he comes, Professor Kingsfield, I'd like to present you with these petitions expressing the law student support for James Hart as a member of the faculty. We feel a responsibility in shaping our future, and we hope our voices will be heard. Hi, James. I gave him the petitions. I don't know if it'll make a difference. I hope it does. Good luck.
That's what you do?
Which goes back to my preliminary thesis that there is a way of dealing with the issue of confession which is halfway between Miranda and its critics.
Mr. Hart, although the proposal you've presented is indeed very clever, would it not require the court to overrule Miranda?
No, it would only require that Miranda be distinguished.
Did Brown versus Board of Education distinguish itself from Plessy versus Ferguson?
No, as I'm sure you are aware, Brown versus the Board of Education was one of the rare cases in which the court abandoned the doctrine of stare decisis and directly overruled a prior case, holding that the doctrine of separate but equal has no place in our system of justice.
What I am suggesting is that your doctrine proposes something so different from Miranda that the court would require it to be overruled. Or would you have the court engage in the less than honest approach of calling that overruling a mere distinction?
We are both aware of the two great traditions of the appellate courts, the desire to maintain the law so that it can have predictive value, and the desire to change the law and shape it to changing times. These two traditions pull at one another. And what I'm trying to do here is not engage in a technical debate about whether or not the proposal does or doesn't change the law. All I'm saying is that Miranda has been with us for enough years now so that the courts can and should begin to experiment with other means, but not those which would roll the world back to where police can beat confessions out of people. Now, I don't think it's important to focus on the issue of precedent, but I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have about the proposal I have made.
Thank you, Mr. Hart.
So, how did it go?
He displays a unique organization of theory and practice, so that what we're hearing is not just a recitation of the law, but a rather bold, and I might add, refreshing interpretation of the patterns of legal thought.
In private conversation, he has shown a deep sensitivity to the learning process, suggesting innovations that might enrich the curriculum. It would be an error to assess Mr. Hart's competence as the sum of the information he has absorbed during the past 3 years of law school. What he grasps goes beyond the ability of what we have to teach. He was an inspired student, and I'm confident that he will make an inspiring professor. I urge you all to confirm his nomination.
James Hart has been a student of mine for the past 3 years. I've had ample opportunity to observe the development of his mind, and in my experience as a teacher, he's among the most gifted students I've ever had. He displays a rare tenacity for the truth and is possessed with high principles, not only for the law, but also for his fellow man and woman. What we are judging today is not simply his quality as a scholar, nor his eloquence, nor his commitment to the law, but his ability to become a member of this faculty. It's not enough simply to know the law in order to be a teacher. One must first live with it, experience it, and its consequences. We're not dealing here simply with what might best serve the interests of this institution, but also what might best serve Mr. Hart. For 3 long years, he has diligently prepared himself to face the challenge of being a lawyer. Now he's ready to begin. What lies ahead will shape his opinions and inspire his actions. I'm confident that out in the world, Mr. Hart will continue to grow and absorb the experience that will allow him to fulfill his enormous potential as a lawyer and as a man.
Oh, here they come. What?
Well, what happened?
People were greatly impressed by your presentation. You did an excellent job. It was a lengthy discussion. Ultimately,
Kingsfield?
that's right. Sorry.
So the intention of the rule of perpetuities is to keep valuable property from lying around unused, right?
Exactly. Because in some cases, property could be tied up for decades till ownership is determined.
Boy, we are really moving through this material.
God, I'm beginning to feel we're actually gonna make it.
Oh, are we all clear on Merryman versus Moore?
The court ruled that life tenants could profit from the sale of timber out from their land as long as they followed good tree farming practices.
But if they didn't, they could be liable to future tenants.
Perfect. Okay. Now, let's move on to fee simple absolute.
Hi. We've been looking for you.
Taking enough flack, huh?
Yeah. Anyone interested in a slightly battle-scarred criminal law expert?
We were just starting fee simple absolute.
You know, I'm confused about the distinction between that and fee simple conditional.
Ah, well, take Lyle versus Richards for an example of fee simple absolute.
In addition, I strongly suggest you review chapters 8 through 12 of Tribe's American Constitutional Law. Now, before we adjourn for the semester, I have the very pleasant duty of announcing the speaker for the year's commencement exercise, Mr. Hart. May I extend my congratulations. I look forward to your commencement address. And I will see you all at the final examination next Tuesday.
Yeah, I just don't know.
Hey, Bell.
Hi, Ford.
How's Hart doing?
Not great. I don't think I've ever seen him so down.
Well, at least he got picked to be commencement speaker.
Yeah, well, for him, that's not even close.
Yeah. Well, I'm off to the library. I got a contracts final in 13 hours.
Hang in there.
Oh, okay, I found it. Commonwealth versus Kenninger. Here, security for money. A description.
All the little blue books with so many precious words. The committee met this morning and voted unanimously to recommend Edna Hauser for the Thompson Endowment. I hope you approve.
She would be an excellent choice.
As you know, I spent many years in Washington, advising congressional committees and serving on government commissions. And I must say, I have rarely seen such a display of influence and command as you exhibited at yesterday's meeting. Did you ever feel that you missed your true calling?
I held other notions as a younger man of what I might become, but what I am is a teacher. My life has been spent participating in an unbroken chain, the ageless passing of wisdom from one generation to the next. My satisfaction comes in the knowledge that there are those students who have received that wisdom and who will carry that tradition forward. Professor Tyler, I have been carrying this brochure around in my coat pocket for several days. Would you care to take another look at it?
I trust the right to a dissenting opinion is protected in the state of Maine.
Indeed. When eloquently expressed, it is not only protected, but welcome.
Trying to have a good time, but however, this is still a law school dormitory, and there are certain guidelines of behavior that must be adhered to. One more thing. For those of you who have been following the dramatic events of my life lately, you may be interested to know that today I received an airline ticket to Boise, Idaho, where Mr. Howard Benson is setting up a law firm and would like me to come work for him.
So how'd you do on your crim law final?
Okay. Is Hart here?
No, I think he'll be here a little later. He's at the review working on his speech. You want to dance?
No, I'll see you later. Thought you'd be coming out to the party.
Oh, yeah, well, I'm trying to make some sense out of this speech. I know what I feel like saying, I just don't think Kingsfield would appreciate it.
God, it must be hard going out this way. After all you've accomplished, you feel like you've been denied.
I feel like there's no getting through to that man. I mean, here I am about to graduate. I'm still trying.
There's something I want to tell you. I haven't told anybody else yet. I decided I'm not going to come back for my third year.
What?
Yeah. I'm quitting law school.
Did you blow your finals or what?
No, I'm sure I did fine. It's something that's been building up for a while now. I just finally realized that I just don't belong here.
But you've only got a year to go.
Doesn't matter. I had this image of myself as this successful young lawyer. I'd get right out there and start fighting for justice and helping people in trouble, you know. I still believe in that. It's just, there's something else going on inside me. Ever since I did that painting for the art show, I haven't felt so fulfilled in years. So I just finally realized that I just can't go on being something I'm not.
But you are one of the best students on this campus.
That's because I have trained myself to think like a law student. I'm really good at that, doing what I'm supposed to do. It's just not getting me any closer to what I want to be in my life. I want to show people what it is that I see and feel through my art. I never could admit that to myself before. I had to treat it like it was some kind of a hobby, like stamp collecting or bowling. Look, that's why I wanted you to be the first to know, because I know how you feel about your work. Imagine what it would be like if you didn't listen to your voices inside. You're probably very disappointed in me, but I just have to see what's out there for me.
It takes a lot of courage to do what you're doing.
Thanks, Hart.
I hope it works out for you.
You don't want any of these dishes?
No. They'll make a nice housewarming present for Vivian.
I hope she has an appreciation for the eclectic in kitchenware. You know, we're due over at the field in 15 minutes.
I know, I'm on the last paragraph.
How many times have I heard those words in the past 3 years?
You know how I thrive on deadlines?
Yes, I do.
All right. I'm ready. See my jacket?
It's over there.
Wow, did we live here once?
I'd have to say we got our money's worth out of this place. Listen, James, I know how crazy things are going to be over at the field. And I just wanted to mention, as you know, I was raised in a family that reveres the status quo. We have always been skeptical of those who want to get out there and change things. However, in light of our relationship, I must confess that I have altered my views somewhat on the subject. That thing that you have that compels you again and again to come up with your best and to demand it of others around you, despite the craziness that it may cause you and the rest of us, is good. And once someone, such as myself, has seen someone living the way you are living your life, then I find I can no longer hide behind the justification that it can't be done. And knowing that, at this moment in my life, and to have known you, is worth more to me than that diploma.
Thank you.
I'll always treasure your friendship, Ford.
Okay, so put your jacket on and let's get out of this place.
Up against the fountain.
Would you just take the picture, Howie?
Lady, I am focusing. There. Now, if I could just find somebody to take the three of us. I told you I should have brought that tripod. Oh.
No, dude, that's a professor.
Oh, that's all right. Anybody can take a good picture with this camera. How do you do?
How do you do?
I'm Howard Bell. My wife, Nadine. Our son, Willis, is graduating today.
Mr. Bell was in my antitrust law seminar.
Oh, hear that, Nadine? Mr. Bell, he's earned their respect.
Dad, we all go by our last names around here.
Professor, would you mind capturing the moment?
Oh, certainly.
You have to ask a professor.
There he is. That's Hart. He's the one giving the speech today. Why weren't you chosen? I knew you'd ask that. I know it's hard for you to believe, but there are those out there even more talented than your daughter. Nonsense.
Fix his tassel, fix his tassel. His tassel, fix his tassel. Look at Kingsfield. You know, just once I'd like to have a conversation with that guy before I leave this place where I didn't feel like I was being punished.
Well, Bell, it's now or never.
What the hell? Couldn't ask for a more beautiful day, huh, Professor?
I personally prefer a more temperate climate.
Well, it's a few degrees among friends. Degrees? It's a pun, get it? So, from here on, I guess we'll be colleagues.
Yes, that appears to be inevitable.
I suppose there'll be those students that you're gonna miss, and then those you'll be just as glad to never see again, huh?
Bell, would you get to the point?
Look, would you mind if we just shook hands?
My pleasure.
Hold it. We can't let this one go by. Could you two move just a little closer together? Just a scotch.
That's my father.
Oh, that's it. That's one for the din wall.
Dad, this is...
You don't have to tell me. I'd recognize this man anywhere. Professor Kingsfield. Well, you certainly give a run for his money to our Willis.
Congratulations to your son for completing his law degree.
Gonna have to sew a few new buttons on the old vest after today, huh?
Good luck, Mr. Bell.
What is it, Willis?
He smiled at me.
Well, Hart, this is it.
See you in court.
I hope so.
You look great. Yes. I'll give you the address of the firm. That's where I'm going to be living most of the time anyway.
It's going to be a great honeymoon, just the three of us. Grace, myself, and the bar course instructor.
Have you got film in the camera?
Yes, I've got film in the camera.
Well, remember Harold's wedding?
Are you ever going to let me forget that?
Laura!
I don't want to miss it,
Honored guests, proud parents, family and friends, and graduating law students, I welcome you to the law school commencement exercises.
And now, our commencement address will be delivered by James T. Hart.
Where I come from in Minnesota, there are many ways to get from my family's farm over to the lake. There's one path in particular which I have used ever since I was a young boy. I never gave much thought to how the path got there. I only knew that it suited my purposes, particularly if it was a hot day and I was in a hurry to get to that lake. Now, long before I was born, someone went to the trouble of creating that path. Each time someone used it, it seemed to define that path's existence against the wilderness of the countryside. As I grew older, I seemed to pick up this attitude of responsibility for the path. So if a tree branch fell blocking the way, You simply made it your business to move it so that the next person who came along could get to where they were going. On a particularly beautiful day, the kind of day that lends itself to expansive thinking, you might get the feeling as you were walking that you were part of a long procession, following in the footsteps of those that had preceded you, leading the way for those yet to come. From where I stand here today, representing this proud group of men and women, I can see that we've been shown the way of another path. For 3 years, we have been carefully led through each turn, shown the forces which threaten the existence of the path, been tested on our knowledge of what we've learned, and now, finally, we are being asked to lead the way. It takes great courage to face the unknown in one's life, to leave behind the security of familiar surroundings in order to face the challenges of unknown worlds. And yet, in order to continue to grow, that is what must be done. Something very important in all of our lives has happened here over the course of these 3 years. And it is more than the sum of the content of all the books and lectures, more than the discussions and debates, more than the laws and their interpretations, more than the patterns of logic and reason that we have been exposed to. We have shared a passion. And the sharing of the passion in their lives is the greatest gift our teachers have given to us. And although I speak for all of us on this occasion, I must also speak for myself and address one of my teachers in particular. How you've changed my life. Your obsession with integrity, your deep understanding and commitment to the law, and your devotion to the process of learning have haunted me from the first day I walked into your classroom. Throughout all the sleepless nights, the endless hours of research, the furious debates, and the constant probing for weakness in every argument, you've been with me in my mind, challenging me to come up to your level of excellence, to meet you in your love of the law. How I have tried for these past 3 years to satisfy you. You've set a standard that I will carry with me always as I pursue not only the law, but every aspect of my life. And at a time when so much of what we face in the world hammers at our confidence and our convictions, it is inspiring to be reminded of what we're capable of, to feel the impact of one man so deeply committed to what he believes. Professor Kingsfield, it has never been easy for me with you, and this moment I find most difficult of all. Thank you. And goodbye.
Eugene Curtin. Rita Harriman. Martin Otto Zeiss. William James Stutz. Willis Thomas Bell. Franklin Ford III. James T. Hart.